All right, we're getting towards the end of July here and getting into early August, and it's time to look at your 30-day outlook. I'm Tom Novak, and this is the Adisseo and Novak Weather 30-day outlook for the month of August. Let's get right to it here. It's been dry. Is the 30-day precipitation estimate now from radars from across the country, and yes, no doubt it's been dry from Minnesota on west into the Pacific Northwest. That includes the northern and portions of central Rocky Mountains, and it also extends north. You don't see it here, but the precipitation has been low over Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the prairies there, and the plains states there, or the plains there in southern Canada have been really dry. And I think this trend is going to continue at least into the first half of August, where it's been wet. It's been wet for the last several months is over the eastern half of the U.S. and then much of the southern U.S. and even extending back west into Arizona. So that's the pattern that we've been into, and I think it's going to continue. Here's the drought monitor now that was just issued today, and no doubt we knew this. This has been going on for years. It's been dry from the Rocky Mountains on west. Some exceptional drought conditions out there continue, but what's been really concerning is what's been happening up here in Montana, the Dakotas, and Minnesota. An extreme to exceptional drought, you can see it here, has taken hold of the northern sections of the U.S., and that it extends into the southern prairies of Canada too. So we need rain in Montana, Saskatchewan, Alberta, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Manitoba. I don't think we're going to get it at least the first half of August, but there may be some changes here in the future. And of course, much of the eastern U.S. and southern U.S., plenty of moisture. All right, here's the zooming out, looking at the drought monitor. Now, this is from mid-July, but I think it still holds true here as we get into early August. Take a look at how dry it is again in the southern prairies of Canada, extending south into the northern United States and, of course, the western U.S. So that is not a surprise there. Here's the River Ver, the jet stream. 30 to 35,000 feet in our atmosphere, and this shows you the pattern that we've been in for the last 3 months is going to continue into early August. And what I mean by that is we have a high pressure ridge that extends well north into southern Canada, and then a trough that kind of just has a sat put over the eastern half of the United States that keeps the eastern U.S. wet and also relatively cool for summer standards. And of course, the heat just builds over the western U.S. and especially the northern and northwestern U.S. into the southern prairies of Canada with that high pressure ridge. But watch what happens as we get towards the middle portions of August, and this is the weather pattern change that I hope takes place. This would be a trough that develops over much of the northern and western U.S. and over southern Canada, too, southern and southwestern Canada, and then a ridge finally starts to develop over the eastern U.S. This is a typical summer weather pattern here where a high pressure develops, a high pressure ridge, we call it a Bermuda high, develops over the southeastern U.S., and that would pump moisture into the northern sections of the U.S. So we'll have to see if that happens during the second half of August. It would really be welcome. But until then, look at how the heat just continues to build over the western sections of North America, especially southwestern Canada, the prairies of southern Canada, and into the northern U.S. These are temperatures in the lower layers of our atmosphere, and as we get into at least the first week or two of August, it stays warm over the western U.S. and yes, cool, at least relatively cool over the southeastern U.S. But here's that change, that weather pattern change that I'm talking about. Look at how some cool air starts to develop in our atmosphere over much of western North America as we get into the middle portions of August. Of course, this is a prediction, so it certainly isn't set in stone, but that is some good news if we need some relief out in the northern and western sections of North America. Okay, here's your 30-day outlook now. I'm not buying into the pattern change just yet, so right now I'm still going to keep that ridge of high pressure over much of the western portions of the United States and southern Canada here as we go through August. That would keep this pattern of dry air in place over much of the northern U.S. and southern Canada as moisture continues to be in excess over the eastern U.S. with that trough. Now, when we look at temperatures over the United States here over the next 30 days, I'm still expecting, for the most part, above average temperatures from Washington and Oregon on east into the upper Midwest, and then the cooler than average conditions over much of the eastern U.S. That is a pattern that we've been in here now for the last 3 to 4 months. And yes, unfortunately, I'm expecting the drought to continue to increase in intensity from Minnesota on west into Montana and then the Pacific Northwest, as much of the eastern U.S. stays wet, and some of that moisture is going to extend back into the southwestern U.S., which is good news because they need the rain out there. All right, that is your 30-day outlook for August. I appreciate everybody for joining me. Take care and have a good month of August.